wonderful evening to you all joining us live on today's edition of 7 Days in Focus on Divine Mercy Radio Television, DMRTV. We are coming your way live from our diocese in the heart of Boya. That's the Southwest Regional Headquarters where our studio is. So this evening, like every other, we bring to you stories of the week, and we struggle to give you an analytical touch to these stories. Now, the stories were aired on our newscast from Monday to Friday. We are going to be looking at the ones that were very topical, outstanding stories, and then we are going to be zooming into them. Like usual, we constitute a panel on 7 Days in Focus. Today, I am going to be with Reverend Father Alphonse Wongibe, who is usually here to analyze the issues, especially from the dimension of the Universal Church. So my name is Jude Mbaku. We welcome you all. Happy weekend and thanks for joining us. Let us have a breather. When we come back, we start our stories for this evening. Beautiful. So those of you who are able to just tell us what your most striking story of the week is, you can always engage with us on the numbers you find on the screen. Or better still, you get to Facebook. We are bringing this program to you live on our social media platform, DMRTV on Facebook. So let me quickly welcome Reverend Father Alphonse Wongibe, who is joining me in the studio this evening. Father, you're welcome.
Thank you so much, Mbako Jude. Good evening.
It's been months of other priests on the program. We had Reverend Father
Rodrigue
Yancy. I think yes.
Father Cletus Aka too.
Father Cletus Aka.
That's
and
very
we equally
true.
had Aloysius Leke and Matilda Bison.
So
we are coming tonight to continue from where our colleagues are stopped. So you're once more welcome.
Thank you so much.
So on the program, we get into stories. We look at stories of the week. Let us quickly begin with the catechisms of the Bishop of the Diocese of Boya. It is a program that runs on DMRTV, and it is dubbed Know Your Faith, okay, to encourage Christians to be aware of the teachings of the church. And this time around, the Bishop, His Lordship Michael Bibi, focused on the liturgy of the Holy Eucharist, and it was really particular about the concluding rites of the liturgy. The prelate highlighted the various parts of the liturgy of the Holy Eucharist, and most essential
on today's doctrinal session was on the liturgy of the Holy Eucharist and the concluding rites. The liturgy of the Holy Eucharist begins with the procession of bread and wine, or with general offertory if there is no provision for bread and wine. Christ himself instituted the Holy Eucharist in the context of the Last Supper, when he took bread and wine, gave thanks to God, and gave his disciples to eat and drink respectively as his body and blood. And the disciples were commissioned to do that in memory of him. The liturgy of the Eucharist is comprised of different parts, and some of the parts require a response on the side of Christ faithful. In the liturgy of the Eucharist, there are 4 main Eucharistic prayers, and there are some essential elements that run through all the Eucharistic prayers, as noted by the prelate.
If you look at all the Eucharistic prayers that are taken during the celebration of the sacrifice of the Mass, there is always thanksgiving given to God, and we thank him for all that he has done in creation. We thank him for all that he has done as far as our salvation is concerned. And of course, depending on the various solemnities and feast days that we are celebrating, thanksgiving becomes very important. It's one of the essential elements that you find in the Eucharistic prayers.
The numerous questions posed to the bishop from the young to the elders indicates how intensive and relevant the session was.
In the Advent word, in some churches there are 5 candles, and in others there are 4 candles. Why is it that in some of the other churches they put 4 candles, the white candle is not always found? Thank you.
These 4 candles represent the 4 weeks of Advent. Traditionally then, you have 4 candles. The first candle standing for hope, the second standing for peace, the third standing for joy, and the fourth standing for love.
Meanwhile, some of the Christians gave their appreciation of today's teachings. The session ended with a lot of joy in the hearts of the Christian faithful, who went home with eager longing for yet another interesting teaching on the program, Know Your Faith.
So with that report, you can really have a picture. Father, the little girl there who asked the bishop the question about the candles. Of course, I know that by now she must have known her faith more on that issue. I mean, we're looking at the liturgy and the concluding rite, the liturgy of the Eucharist and the concluding rite. Maybe just to treat us where we are, even at the level of this part of the Roman Missa.
Yes, regarding the liturgy of the Eucharist, as it came out in the report, it begins with the bread and wine procession and ends with the post-communion prayer. And it is like one of the 2 parts of the Holy Mass, because we have liturgy of the Word and liturgy of the Eucharist, which are being embellished, or is embellished, I can put it that way, with an introductory rite as well as the concluding rite. So those are the 2 main parts, liturgy of the Word and liturgy of the Eucharist. This one, there is focus on the Eucharist, which comes from the word Eucharistia, which means thanksgiving. Therein, the little girl made mention of the fact that in some churches there are 4 candles and others there are 5. Why? Normally, as is per tradition, we have 4 candles which depict the 4 weeks of Advent, where we prepare ourselves, intense preparation for the coming of the Messiah, be it in a remote manner when he will come again to judge the living and the dead, or in an immediate manner when he will come to us in Christmas. Now, the very first candle is always purple in color, signifying hope, as all the readings tell us about Jesus Christ coming, that we should await him in joyful, with hopeful expectation of the coming of the Messiah. The second candle, which is still purple, depicts peace, and that is why more often than not, depending on the cycle or the season of the liturgical of the season, be it A, B, or C, we notice that the readings during the second week depicts Jesus Christ as the Prince of Peace. He who is coming to bring peace in our lives, peace in our nations, peace in our families. That is why the second candle depicts peace, and which of course we should also practice to be peaceful persons during that second week. And the third candle is different in color. It is pink, no longer purple. This one reflects joy, so much so that we have already gone halfway into the preparation to receive our Lord on Christmas Day. And so the church tells us to relax a little from the austere prayer, the austere preparation and conversion and repentance, which we have been following for the past 2 weeks, and see how to relax a little. I was talking with a brother priest, and he said, just as people traveled in those days and are still traveling to Bamenda, and they make a break at Melon to have something to eat to re-energize themselves, right. So this third week of Advent could be seen as a break. Let's rest a little from the normal routine of the Advent season. And that is why too the invitatory antiphon that it says, "Rejoice, O Jerusalem," I say rejoice. So it signifies joy, because our salvation is already near at hand, the third week. And the fourth one depicts,
and this third one, which is pink, you say it depicts what? The first
it depicts joy.
Peace, okay, joy.
Yes, it's joy. The third one depicts joy, that our salvation is already near at hand, that we should be rejoicing, we should be joyful persons, because Christ is coming soon. And the last one depicts love, which means it's already welling up to the mystery of the incarnation and depicting Jesus Christ as he who comes out of love to save fallen humanity. Then The fifth candle, which she says she sees in some parishes or in some churches, depicts simply the you can call it the Christmas candle, that Jesus Christ is already here. That is why it is white. Yes, that he has come to set us free. Christ came, yes. Christ comes, and he will come. That white signifies the fact that Christ is already here with us in the great mystery of the incarnation at Christmas. Simply put, that was an aside in regard, since it was the first Sunday of Advent that just passed, that the bishop had to explain. But the liturgy of the Eucharist per se is like the heart. It's true, the two parts are equal, not that one part is more than the other. Just as we encounter Christ in the liturgy of the Word, so too we encounter him in the liturgy of the Eucharist, as stated in the constitution of the sacred liturgy, number 11, that there are 4 ways. Number 14, sorry, that there are 4 ways in which Christ can be present in the church. I don't know if it's number 14 or number 7. Anyway, there it is stated that Christ is present, first of all, in his word, in the Eucharist, then in the people of God, and in the person of the priest. These are 4 ways in which Christ is present. As per Sacrosanctum Concilium, number 7, if my memory does not fail me, I know 7, then 14 talks about the participation which we should have. We should be active, conscious, and full. Basically put, it is the source and summit of our Christian life, the Eucharist, the true body and blood of Jesus Christ, and we all are called upon to participate in a very great manner. To conclude, Mbako Jude, I would like to quote John Paul II of blessed memory in his encyclical Eucharistia, Ecclesia de Eucharistia, therein he states in paragraph 1, l'Église vit de l'Eucharistie et l'Eucharistie fait l'Église. Which means that the church lives because of the Eucharist, by the Eucharist, and the Eucharist makes the church, to show how important it is in the life of the church, the liturgy of the Eucharist.
Right. So at this point, what we definitely, I'm sure the concluding rites have ended the liturgy of the Eucharist. So
yes,
we'll definitely be looking forward to something else as far as the teaching is concerned next week.
Next week, the bishop will look into
next week is Monday, 2 days. Yes,
2 days from now.
So we hope to have viewers tuned. Of course, every Monday from 10:30 to midday, we have that program, and we equally have it rebroadcast every Monday at 9 p.m. Saturday, you have a rebroadcast. So it's important that you always follow, so that you build your faith. This kind of explanation can only be done when you have that enlarged exposure, and with moments like this. Otherwise, when we see 4 candles, I have seen 4 candles on the DMR on the television. Sometimes I stay at home and then I see 4 candles, one burning, the other one, and then you start asking questions. Why is the church, or why is this like this?
Yes, it's not for decoration.
It's not for decoration. Yeah. We might just feel that, okay, it's another Christmas tree that we want to see colors, but every color, like we are pointing out there, for instance, this Advent, every color that is put up has a meaning.
Yes, every candle, because the color purple is already a color of conversion, repentance. Since we are waiting our Lord, and we are called to repent and to be a converted people. So basically, it has to do with the candles for the first week, which is lighted, depicting those various things that we gave earlier on.
All right. Now, Father, let us take our audience to Limbe, where religious of the church had a conference. It lasted for almost a week. They had that conference in Limbe. We just want our reporter John Philip Wanla, who was part of that conference earlier this week, to give us details. When we come back, we look at the aspects.
About 28 congregations of religious from within the province and beyond are here represented in the Diocese of Boya, precisely at the Holiday Inn Hotel in Limbe, by their superiors. The superiors are here to deliberate on the theme Leadership in Crisis Situations, an event organized and sponsored by the African Sisters Education Collaborative, ASEC.
We are here because we felt we should find out what is going on with us and the crisis in Cameroon. How can we be of assistance to each of us religious? How can we be supportive? How can we work with the other people of God in the ecclesiastical province. So the problems we are facing is not just for ourselves, but it includes our sisters, it includes the general public, it includes the areas we are working, our workers, the teachers, the nurses, wherever we are. And it's an area of concern.
This is an association that is aimed at empowering religious women within the ecclesiastical province and of certain spheres.
In Cameroon, ASEC has been supporting sisters in a capacity building program referred to as the Sisters Leadership Development Initiative, where it supports sisters with skills in finance management, in leadership, and also in basic computer technology. And besides this, ASEC also supports sisters in having higher education credentials in the universities. And at this moment, it has a partnership with the Catholic University Institute of Boya and also the Catholic University of Cameroon, Bamenda, where it has supported over 40 sisters to obtain degrees at the bachelor's level and also at the master's level.
Some participants of the event expressed some difficulties they face and how they accompany those affected in the crisis throughout their suffering.
When we resumed our school in Bafut, St. Albert's Comprehensive College, we felt that we could not run St. Albert College the way we had done before. We had to make education accessible to people. Instead of running it as a boarding school, we decided to make it also a day. So doing this, we will make education affordable to families around our school because many of them had lost their livelihoods.
The aim of the conference is to come out with strategies that will enhance the lives of those suffering and lead to an end of this conflict.
Many suggestions came up and we are still battling on them. But I think one is standing out for us, that unanimously we would have a day we come out publicly as a group in the entire ecclesiastical province to pray the rosary, move around to advocate peace to Our Lady, the Lady of Peace. And so the next thing we want to see is how do we reach out to one another, because sometimes the sisters in Shison can have a problem. We in Boya or Kumba are not aware. So we are saying that we should have a stronger way of communicating among ourselves. I think another thing we want to do is like to see if we could create counseling centers. That is a big project because you must create the places, you must train the sisters, and they must have a livelihood. But at least if we conceive an idea, God is going to bring it to fruition.
They also deliberated on how to live together within their communities and with their superior, who is the bishop of the diocese, respecting the norms established by the canon law.
Right. Thank you very much, John Philip Wanla, who was in Limbe. In that report, they're painting what the ASEC has been doing so far. The sisters, the brothers of the church, the religious, and other stakeholders have been doing so far to alleviate.
To come together as religious under the theme leadership in crisis, in moments of crisis. Mm-hmm. And from the deliberations, as we heard sister reiterating, as well as other persons that were interviewed, I think it is a positive step, and it will greatly help, because leading in moments where there is no crisis could be different in moments when there is crisis. And if we do not have these seminars to see how to manage that and to man up during moments of crisis, we may instead of leading people, rather remain being led or misleading others. So the very first is the fact that the initiative they took is always prayer, because prayer is a foundation. Without prayer, nothing works, because it's a fuel that keeps the car moving and keeps our Christian life equally moving. So taking the initiative that they will come out with a day to publicly pray the rosary and move around to advocate for peace is already a wonderful one. Creating counseling centers is also another way of real leadership in moments of crisis, because people are psychologically disturbed, people live in fright, and with counseling it may help in one way or the other to alleviate not only the plight of the poor, but equally fright in persons. And the communication, which she did mention, is like a tool to ensure real leadership in crisis moments. Because if I don't know how the other person feels, I may not know how to lead that person. To end it all, we keep advocating for peace, knowing fully well that someday, somehow, peace, because peace will be a...
People are going through a lot. And so we hope that the religious will keep on with that. It was almost a week to be in Limbe for almost a week, like Sister Njome Agnes was saying there. The content was so huge, it cannot be absorbed for one day. They hope to be coming back to empower themselves as the journey continues in God's vineyard. Now, last weekend, I think it's the same day, we had this in our news this week anyway, the 75th anniversary celebration of the diocese was on the table, and it is one of the most talked about events of the Diocese of Boya as to speak. So the chairperson of the steering committee for that 75th anniversary for this diocese has expressed satisfaction at the work done so far by members of the subcommittees that were put in place during the first phase of the planning, and they were charged with preparation for that event. So Reverend Father Jude Mbi was reacting. He's the Vicar General of the Diocese. He was reacting on December 2nd, 2023, while chairing a meeting of the members of this subcommittee here in Boya. So for DMRTV, we had Matilda Bisson, who was there and did this report.
The steering committee to plan for the 75th anniversary of the Diocese of Boya was put in place in July 2023 and met for the first time on September 2nd, 2023. This Saturday, December 2nd, 2023, is the second time they are coming together to evaluate the work done so far from the assignments given in the first meeting. 52 in number by the communique appointing them. These members, who were divided into subcommittees, have set the pace on how they are going to carry on their respective duties to ensure a successful event.
I think that we are doing a great job so far. I think that our Lord has steered us in the right direction, and today we did presentations of all the various committees that have been working behind the scenes in order to come up with their individual budgets, the action plans and the like. And so that was presented today, and I think that we're making good progress in preparation for the Jubilee.
It has been a wonderful meeting. I think we have come out with very positive resolutions from the meeting, and this meeting was very important to us, because the preparation for the 75th anniversary of our diocese is something that we have to handle in a very special way. And thank God that we have started the meeting. Since this is the second meeting, we have come out with resolutions. It is now left in the hands of the various subcommittees to go and try to see how they can fine-tune the outcome, the guidelines that have been given to them by the steering committee.
Each subcommittee took turns in presenting a report on work done so far since their last meeting in September, while corrections, comments and recommendations were made after every presentation. Among the presentations was the History Committee that envisages a 6-chapter presentation of the diocese with different titles, an appeal for easy access to the archive of the diocese for information. Communication Committee, among other things, presented a sample design of the anniversary fabric, while the Liturgy Committee, among other things, is expected to come out with a prayer for the anniversary, latest December ending, and program activities at different levels. Logistics, Animation, and Award Committee all presented their reports. Father Jude Mbi is overwhelmed at the updates presented for work done so far.
No, I think I was very, very pleased with the proposals. Many of the committees worked very well, and they developed their own particular area of concern very detailedly. In fact, more detailedly than I expected for a first meeting. So I was very, very happy, and I think that if we continue at this pace, we will be able to realize a very beautiful celebration.
Despite the work done so far, a lot is still expected to make the event a success.
There are still a lot of corrections to be done. There is no doubt about that. And the committee still have to work. In the next 1 week, I expect that we'll go far higher.
The theme for the celebration is expected to reflect the proclamation of the gospel in the Diocese of Boya amidst its challenges and successes for the past 75 years. Meanwhile, each committee has until December 15 to effect the corrections and recommendations made, while the executive arm of the steering committee meets on December 16, 2023 to review the reports again. The enlarged body will meet again in January 2024 before the launching in April 2024.
Matilda Bisson is painting for us a picture there, a roadmap. If you really follow that report, the second time they are meeting, they met the first time, I think it was in October. And is it September, October, September or so?
Yeah.
And this is the second time this committee is meeting. And 52 persons sitting to reflect, think, divided into different committees, communication, awards, liturgy, this, that. It's really Herculean. And we have every indication there that in January, while they meet, they will be strategizing on how to officially, the bishop announced that in April, they're going to have the official launch of the anniversary the anniversary year.
Yes, I mean anniversary year.
Good. So far, from your perspective, we can really say further things on the right pedestal, except you've noticed something somewhere which we need to emphasize on.
No, I think from what we are seeing, since as the bishop rightly mentioned, it is his prayer and wish.
Mm-hmm.
As he always says, it is his prayer and wish that the co-cathedral should be completed, as well as the pastoral center, so that it can accommodate these events with the several bishops that will be coming, as well as priests. And I think that these 52 members of the steering committee meeting already for the second time shows that they see that it is good to plan properly. Mm-hmm. As the saying goes, that failing to prepare is preparing to fail. There are various quotes regarding proper planning, and this one really caught my attention. That an hour of planning can save you 10 hours of doing. So I think taking these turns in their various meeting sessions is to save them, like to use just an hour in proper planning, and to save them 10 hours that they will have been doing things without having a leeway. So I think it is already a plus that they have various committees, the award committee headed by Dr. Felicitas, who just spoke in that report, as well as the history committee that will present about six various topics regarding the history of the Diocese of Boya, and other committees. I think if everyone puts their hands on deck, it will make this celebration beginning or being launched on April 2024 a very wonderful one. And I think all Christians, priests, clerics, everyone is supposed to be involved in this, because if you notice, all the members of the steering committee is like a reflection of priests, lay people, and religious, which means everybody is being represented. And so we all at the background,
from different services of the church. It's not like just from
not just from parishes,
just from
health,
parishes,
various institutions, education, and the rest, so that everybody is involved to make it come true. And so I think a goal without a plan will simply remain a mere wish. And since Boya Diocese don't want to remain in simply wishing and dreaming, but they are really strategizing and planning under the auspices or the leadership of Bishop Michael Bibi to see that things should be right before 2025.
Yes.
Remember, it's a threefold event. It's always good to remember a threefold event: the 75th anniversary, his silver jubilee as a priest, and lastly, the accommodation or the meeting of the bishops of Cameroon here in Boya. I mean, next year, this 2024, we're going to the north.
Yes, and just to crown it again, that because the bishop also announced that special event, the special coming of the bishops will avail us the opportunity to have that cathedral consecrated in a very special way.
This is the fourth event even.
This is not given to every it's not given to every diocese. I think it's Boya diocese is blessed. 75 years is not 75 months, it's not 75 days. So every diocesan member will definitely have to put hands on deck. You earlier talked about the co-cathedral, which is one of those areas that the diocese is struggling because the crowd that will come.
Yeah,
it wouldn't have been possible for us to even use small support cathedral. In fact, your parish now in Bukwango can feel small support. Yes, I mean, like Bukwango is even the population there is almost bigger than what the church we have as small support. So we need to finish up with the co-cathedral as soon as possible. And the co-cathedral is about a 5,000 capacity.
No, 500. Not 5,000. Okay, you mean the co-cathedral? Okay, I thought you were meaning small support. So because small support is 500 capacity. So the co-cathedral is more than that.
You see the difference from the ground floor to the balconies. I mean, it's really designed in a way that can accommodate many people who will come for this event. So it is also a responsibility to speed up the construction of that cathedral, which the people of this diocese, the members of this diocese, are actually really struggling. But the struggle continues because it never stops. And that is why this week, Reverend Father Frank Bayon, who is the co-cathedral administrator of that Divine Mercy co-cathedral, he came out again to say, okay, we know that you people are doing your best, but we have to keep doing it. We have to keep doing it so that we dot all the I's and get the T's to support the bishop in every way, every form we can. Recall too that the benches, they had already started bringing in the benches which were launched. So let us take our viewers again to the Divine Mercy Cathedral. What was like bringing to you this cathedral? The pastoral center too is there. The second building is already taking its shape. So, but let us go back to the cathedral and meet Sharon Tita, who did this report for us yesterday.
From the fundraising of benches to the installation of benches, the Divine Mercy Co-Cathedral Parish Moliko Boya is witnessing another major facelift. This time around, it is at the level of sacristy. The sacristy is a place where priests prepare for the Holy Mass and where vestments and sacred vessels of worship are kept. Reverend Father Frank Bayong, parish priest of Divine Mercy Cathedral Parish, emphasizes on the importance of having a sacristy while outlining the current work carried out at the level of the sacristy.
The work has gone quite well and everything is working very well. And one of the things that we are trying to do now is the sacristy. And the sacristy is very important in the life of the church because that is where the vestments are kept. That is where the sacred linens and the sacred vessels are kept. So it's quite a holy place within the church. You know, you cannot have a church without a sacristy. That is where the priests vest. You know, that is where they come from the sacristy and go into the church. So our own sacristy, the co-cathedral, is equally very important. Because as we speak now, we do not vest in the sacristy because the sacristy has not yet been made. So we are still trying to do it, and lots of work has already been done in the sacristy. It would also interest you to know that our sacristy is an ultra-modern sacristy. It's one of the best sacristies you can find in the world, you know, because in that sacristy you have 2 toilets. And the toilets have all been tiled. You have beautiful windows in the sacristy, so it's quite modern.
For the Divine Mercy Co-Cathedral Parish Project Moliko Boya to be at this level of realization, it is thanks to the generosity of Christians of the Diocese of Boya and persons of goodwill. Hence, Reverend Father Bayong, while thanking the Christians for their relentless sacrifice for this project to come to fruition, revealed that they are doing everything possible to ensure the completion of the sacristy before the celebration of Christmas. He equally used this opportunity to encourage Christians to support them in the completion of the sacristy.
So I'm just asking the Christians to be supportive, just as they have always been. I'm asking the Christians to, whoever wants to donate, to help in the building of this ultra-modern sacristy is called upon to do so. So let us put our hands on board as we have always done. We have always supported the bishop, we have always supported the church, we have always supported Jesus Christ, I've always supported in this wonderful work that we are doing. So I'm calling on all the Christians of the co-cathedral, but then Christians of the Diocese of Boya, to try to support. Come to that sacristy, and you can do whatever, you can offer to do whatever you want, you know. In the sacristy, you have to have vestments of the priests. In the sacristy, you have to have vessels. You have to have sacred linens. You have to have liturgical books. So I'm making it now open. A Christian can go to Margaret Mary's shop or go to one of the shops we have around here where they sell liturgical books and things, and say that you want to offer the sacred linen, you want to offer purificator, you want to offer pattern, we are always ready.
The construction engineers at the Divine Mercy Co-Cathedral Parish, Moliko Boya, are expected to work even more harder for the completion of the sacristy before the celebration of Christmas.
Christmas is coming with innovations, and the walkthrough at the co-cathedral is the cathedral is taking a modern shape. The beauty is coming out. The sacristy, I used to see priests just versing somewhere, but now if we have the sacristy, which is beautifully done, then it is going to be a good thing. So far, the co-cathedral, like you see, the benches too are already coming in. Work is ongoing, and I'm sure that the priest who is saying that he's talking in his capacity as the administrator of that cathedral, but also know that the bishop who has been very keen on the level of execution of that project. Now, let's quickly talk about that cathedral. The funds were raised for the benches. I also realized that it was last week we already have the list of everyone who contributed a penny, and the number of benches that were contributed, and all the like. That is a good show of transparency, and we are seeing on the pictures on the screen there, the benches are already there. It's not like they say something and then go to the laboratory to cook up something.
Yes,
everything is there with evidence. This is a bolster to Christians.
Yes, I think we call that praxis, the practical. When something is said, it is being done with immediate effect. And just to laud the efforts of all the Christians in the local church here in Boya, as well as that of the chief shepherd, for a collaborative work.
Spirit.
Yes, there's a collaborative spirit here, without which we would have realized that. Remember, on that day, normally the bishop in his homily mentions that there is need for 406 benches, if my memory doesn't fail me. And during the lunch itself, we had over 200 benches. I dare not give the exact figure per se, perhaps 230 or 280, I cannot remember, but above 200 benches, which is already more than half of the number which are required. And it's just to encourage the Christians. Yes, they're on a good footing. We all are on a good footing. Christians, priests, religious, all of us moving together towards this dream so that it should be realized. And so I will think that the Christians in the Diocese of Boya, or as well as their pastors, are simply emulating or practicing what Pope Francis said. Pope Francis once said that giving that does not hurt is not yet giving. Charity that does not pain is not yet charity. And I think they are in that light which they are giving until it pains. And I think they should just continue from that direction to keep supporting the chief shepherd so that this work will come true. And I will end by giving, there is this particular song in the Cameroon hymnal, the old Cameroon hymnal, the new one. I of course it must be in the new one, perhaps revised also, that freely we give, freely we receive from God our Savior. And so all we have and all we are, I think, belong to God. And so we have every reason to give him back as an act of thanksgiving, especially when it concerns things of the church, because the church is we all, and it's good to build something befitting for the house of God, so that we should properly worship him as it is his due.
Right. It's a church for the community, not for any individual, not even for the priest.
Yeah.
Because every priest comes and go. When you believe in Bukwango, you leave that place, you will not go with anything from there. So it is a church for the community. Now, one of those who have benefited, who enjoyed the beauty of the cathedral yesterday was CWA. About 140 of them were dedicated, and they were dedicated into the CWA. And just to say that yesterday too was the solemnity of Immaculate
Conception of the Blessed Virgin Mary.
Great. So His Lordship Michael Bibi was with them at the Co-Cathedral yesterday. Let's follow Aloysius Aleki in this report at the Co-Cathedral yesterday. We'll be back.
From this day forward, all generations shall call you blessed. The Magnificat says it loud and clear. Honored by God from age to age, it is our duty to honor our Mother Mary, reasons why members of the Catholic Women Association Diocese of Aboya, Friday 8th of December 2023, converge at the Divine Mercy Cathedral to celebrate the Feast of the Immaculate Conception. It celebrates the sinless lifespan and Immaculate Conception of the Blessed Virgin Mary. It proves that the Most Blessed Virgin Mary was from the first moment of her conception by a singular grace and by virtue of the merits of Jesus Christ, preserved immune from all stains of original sin. Drawn from across the Diocese of Aboya, the women fill the Divine Mercy Co-Cathedral Church, with over 90% of them putting on the Marian uniform and 10% of the women putting on assorted wrappers, with high anticipation for their dedication during the celebration. Then came the moment of joy, as these 10%, just like students graduating from institutions of higher education across the region this December, received the dedication from the Bishop of Boya, with the graduation robes being the CWA fabric as they graduate from the School of Mary. The 149 graduates later robed themselves with their Marian uniforms amid shouts and songs of joy, with this special message from the Bishop of Boya.
Maybe now we wish, so this dedication we will dedicate them today, it will continue for help when our grow, for inside when our spiritual life. It will continue for help when for render service for the people of God, and it will make when for be dedicated and committed Christians them for inside with church. We don't come for here today, members of the Catholic Women Association, una family, una friends, and the Christian community, in order for witness this big step una to make them today, like members of the Catholic Women Association. We pray for una. Now some of una remain faithful and committed for this big activity we una want for carry them out this morning.
The bishop reminded the CWA mothers that as they celebrate the Feast of Immaculate Conception, they should reflect on the immaculate nature of their Mother Mary and note that she was found worthy by God, not because she never had challenges nor difficulties, but she chose to remain steadfast while here on earth.
Mama Maria no been commit any personal bad. You no been get original sin. You be preserved from that sin. You been live for this ground. You no been commit any personal bad. You no been saying you no been get temptations. You no been saying you no been be able to commit that bad. But I say when the opportunities that be present themselves for you been remain steadfast.
The Feast of Immaculate Conception dates back in the year 1854 when Pope Pius IX issued an apostolic constitution called Ineffabilis Deus, by which she declared the Immaculate Conception of the Blessed Virgin Mary to be a dogma of faith. This divination was a response to the long-standing devotion and theological consensus that had built up over the centuries. By declaring a dogma of faith, the Holy Father used his highest papal teaching authority, binding every Catholic to accept this teaching.
After watching these images, there's just no way you won't, if you're actually a woman who is in the church, there's no way you won't want to be a member of CWA, clad in that beautiful wrapper. So the feast, sorry, it is the solemnity.
Yes, the solemnity.
Sometimes I keep confusing these things, feast and solemnity, and where the church celebrates many of them. So the solemnity of the Immaculate Conception, I know the bishop explained there, but in a very casual, in a very brief way, someone who is watching who might want to understand and the context of that solemnity in relation to the CWA. How do we really merge them?
Okay, the CWA is an acronym. That's an acronym, which means Catholic Women Association, and this Catholic Women Association have the Blessed Virgin Mary as their model. So it is been this solemnity of the Immaculate Conception of the Blessed Virgin Mary is linked to them. That is why they chose that day to dedicate their new members, because they look up to the Blessed Virgin Mary as model, and they too want to emulate her in her, well, I say, immaculateness, in her purity. And regarding the background of that that solemnity, it is Pope Pius IX in 1854, as per the reports we have heard in the Apostolic Constitution, Ineffabilis Dei. Therein he mentions that Mary, from the very moment of conception, was preserved from original sin and all other personal sins. Means Mary did not commit any personal sin in this world.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas we are not preserved from original sin. We are born, we inherit it due to the sin of our first parents, Adam and Eve. Rather, we are cleansed from original sin by the sacrament of baptism. Mary was preserved. We are cleansed. And so that is the dogma that Mary was preserved from that original sin and all other personal sins by the merit, of course, of her son Jesus Christ. And that was 1854. Now 4 years after, that was 1858, there was an apparition of the Blessed Virgin Mary herself to a little girl, Saint Bernadette of Subiru, if I'm pronouncing the word well, in Lourdes. And Mary appeared to this little girl and told her, I am the Immaculate Conception. That's 4 years after this dogma was promulgated, which shows indeed the veracity of that dogma, and shows that indeed Mary was preserved by God, because God, after the fall of Adam and Eve, wanted to save fallen humanity out of love, and he had to choose a particular channel to come and save fallen humanity, and he chose the Blessed Virgin Mary. A privilege, of course. And that channel, God cannot pass through a channel which is dirty to save, or which is unholy, which is sinful to save fallen humanity. That's why he preserved already the Blessed Virgin Mary, that channel through which he wants to come into this world to save us. That is why Mary is seen as the first tabernacle, carried Jesus Christ in her womb. Jesus Christ, who came through this spotless womb, the Blessed Virgin Mary, to save us. And the message of the angel equally, Luke chapter 1 verse 26 says, Hail Mary, full of grace. When somebody is full of grace, which means there is no sin, spotless, immaculate. On the life of the Catholic Women Association, therefore, in this light, when they dedicate them as new members, they entered because they've undergone at least 1 year of training and having exam sessions given by their executives, as well as their leaders, as well as the priests that are concerned with their training. And after that, those who make it, they are dedicated. So they are exalted on this particular day to emulate the virtues of the Blessed Virgin Mary. Purity, which is one, because she was immaculate, as well as humility and simplicity. But likewise, to struggle to always shun sin and live a life of grace. That's why you notice their blouse. I'll call it blouse. That's my own way of calling it. Their garments, their outer garments, which is white, the upper part, they are called to reflect these outer garments by the way they live their lives in their various parishes, in their various communities. That is why you see a CWA somewhere fighting, which means it's counter witnessing.
Yes.
Or gossiping. It means it's counter witnessing.
It feels like a taboo.
Yes, it's a taboo. Mary did not do that. Or drinking and getting drunk somewhere.
So by just putting that on, you feel like you are somewhat Mary.
Of course.
In your being.
Yeah.
So, but what is the difference? Is there actually a difference? Because I think it was in October we had the Marian month, if I'm not mistaken.
We have 2 Marian months.
Okay.
We have October, we have May. Yes, there is equally May. Just that people are too familiar with that of October, given because we celebrate on the 7th of October the feast of the memorial of Our Lady of the Holy Rosary, where in the Battle of Lepanto, thanks to the prayers of the people at the time, the Christian, and they had to defeat the Turks because they were very few. Given that their leader at the time, the Pope at the time, called them, is it Pope Pius V, if I'm not mistaken, called them to pray the Rosary. And when they prayed the Rosary in that Battle of Lepanto, the naval battle in water, and they won. That is why that month already, because of that victory, was taken as the Marian month. To remember the Blessed Virgin Mary.
Through the Rosary.
Through the Holy Rosary.
Okay.
That is why. So it's different from this one of today. This one today is a solemnity about the Blessed Virgin Mary, the Immaculate Conception, which is very pivotal, because even the seminary is today that they give sultans to seminarians. These our cassocks that we put on during a ceremony. The bishop comes in a ceremony during mass and hands the sultan to the young seminarians who have entered into first year philosophy, so that they now can remove this normal clothes that normal lay people do put on put on at the clerical gap.
That's another level in spiritual life.
Yeah.
So for 149 women of the diocese, we should be proud of the diocese of Boya. It's a huge number.
Yes, it's a very huge number, and I think that we should not only look at the number, but how efficient is that number. That was not only the quantity but quality. If the number is there, that is good, already something, but not enough. Depending on proficiency or efficiency and how qualitative they are, and I think it will boost the spirituality in the diocese here in Boya because of these new dedicated members into the Catholic Women Association. Because normally you hear some women always say, I cannot belong me to CWO, that group.
Yes.
Money, all time, contribution, all time. Yes, money. But I think that there's also the spiritual bent of that group. It's not only about money. Others will say, no, I go there very soon, the Kongosa. No, I think abuse does not take away use. There could be some frictions and the rest, or some limitations too, but it's everywhere. In whatever sphere, even in the priesthood, we are all human beings who can err and who can make mistakes. And so it should not be a criteria for us or a condition for saying that I cannot belong to that particular group. I think it's a wonderful group, and we call them in quotes mothers of the church. Those as we call CMA, fathers of the church. They're always there.
Right.
Look at their celebrations.
Yes.
If they are not there, if they say CWA, go out of the church. As though nobody were present.
Yes.
But if they say CMA, I'm not in a way saying favoring a particular group, but if they say CMA, go a step out of the church, will be as though nobody went out, to show that women are indeed essentially religious,
shaking the kingdom.
and they're shaking the kingdom indeed.
Yes.
So we thank them for this bold step in their life, that they may remain faithful after the example of the Blessed Virgin Mary, who was stainless, spotless, and pure.
Indeed. Congratulations to all of them. And like Father said, we hope that you keep the flame burning. Talking about spirituality, we know that the diocese initially programmed a pilgrimage for Israel. And unfortunately, when that pilgrimage was programmed, we didn't know that nature was going to have what it has today in Israel. And so that pilgrimage did not hold, but the bishop of the diocese is organizing another pilgrimage which will take place in Rome next year. So let us have this communique which announces that pilgrimage.
To all clergy, all members of the Institute of Consecrated Life, all societies of apostolic life, all lay faithful Diocese of Boya. Circular on the Boya Diocesan Pilgrimage to Rome from the 1st to the 9th of May 2024. May God our Father and the Lord Jesus Christ in communion with the Holy Spirit give you grace and peace. We are all aware that the Diocese of Boya had planned a diocesan pilgrimage to the Holy Land that was to run from the 7th to the 17th of November 2023. Unfortunately, due to the present war in Israel and Palestine, the trip was cancelled. However, the Holy Spirit has led us to yet another important route that we are to embark on. In view of the 75th anniversary of the creation of the Diocese of Boya, come April 2025, and in line with event marking the celebration of the Jubilee year 2025 in the Universal Church, we find it relevant and significant to recognize a pilgrimage to Rome, the cradle of our faith. This pilgrimage will run from the 1st to the 9th of May 2024. During the spiritual journey, pilgrims will experience the following. 1. They will walk in the footsteps of the apostles and first martyrs of a Catholic faith and enjoy the bella figura of the eternal city of Rome. 2. They will visit, say prayers and offer the sacrifice of Holy Mass at the tombs of the princes of the apostles Peter and Paul. 3. They will pray at the catacombs where many martyrs of our Christian faith celebrated their heroic sacrifice for our faith. 4. They will participate at a special audience with the Holy Father Pope Francis. 5. They will attend the special Sunday Angelus prayer with the Holy Father. And finally, 6. They will visit all the 4 ancient basilicas of the one, Holy, Catholic and Apostolic Church. The objective ultimately is to give a diocesan family the opportunity to have a first-hand experience and a physical impression of the cradle of a Catholic faith, receive blessings from the saint in the eternal city, and return with renewed faith, hope, and love. This pilgrimage will be a 9-day spiritual encounter running from the 1st to the 9th of May 2024. The cost is projected at 1,800,000 francs. The set amount will cater for the round flight ticket from Douala to Rome and back, visa fee, full board, breakfast, lunch and dinner, from the day of arrival to the day of departure, accommodation double rooms, English-speaking tour guides in Rome, deluxe and comfortable coach for internal transportation, tickets into touristic sites, tips for guides and drivers. Payment can be done either at the Diocesan Finance Office Sumosopo Boya or at Eco Bank through the account name Boya Diocese and account number 315450000648. For more information, kindly contact Reverend Father Edwin Mai through the number 679-717955 or the Chancellor Reverend Father Augustine Anuchem through the number 670-344932. Yours in his service, Michael Bibi, Bishop of Boya.
Okay, thank you very much, Joseph Otop, for taking through that communique. Father, that's another pilgrimage coming up. Fortunately, the Chief Shepherd has thought another solution out. Initially, it was the one that was built for last November.
Yes.
It was supposed to run from November, I think around November 17, so about the 25th or so. Unfortunately, the war in Israel and Palestine,
Gaza issue.
It's not helping.
Did not permit.
Imagine. So, but now we can go to Rome, and these facilities are in Rome, and that's even the seat of the church.
Yeah,
I think this
the
one,
cradle of our faith.
the cradle of our faith, is in Rome. I think that is even, for me, this is even the best one now. So I've already saved my 1.8 million, which will cater for.
That's already a plus for you, because you cannot go there and come back the same.
Of course.
There's always an increase in faith of those who do participate in such pilgrimages.
The letter they was trying to highlight some of the areas which those pilgrims people will be going there for the pilgrimage are going to be enjoying the facilities. Especially, I don't think you can really go to that place and come back and see yourself at. Man, you will just be another person because visiting these various areas that have been highlighted there. Angelus, the Holy Father. Maybe you just highlight.
You know that normally, we normally report on the Pope's general audience every Wednesday. They will participate in one of such. It takes place on Wednesday. Every midday, begin with the Angelus. They will also have part with the Angelus and taking part in the Angelus with the Holy Father. Then they'll visit the tombs of two great apostles, Peter and Paul. They were beheaded and died in Rome. That is at the year 63 and 64 AD respectively, because of their witnesses, of their life of witnessing to Jesus Christ. And if you notice, some time ago, the bishops of Cameroon went for, is it only Cameroon even? Yes, because they go according to a nation. The bishops of Cameroon went for their ad limina visit there in Rome. And on the ad limina visit is a visit that takes place every after 5 years. And it's also characterized by some three things. A bishop gives a report, a total report of the pastoral life of his diocese, financial life, and what have you, as well as pays homage or allegiance to the Supreme Pontiff, the Holy Father. And lastly, he visits and prays on the tombs of these two popes, of these two saints. Saint Peter and Saint Paul. And so these pilgrims also will be going on the 1st of May, on the 1st to the 9th of May, 2024, will equally have the opportunity to pray on these tombs. Remember, Pope Peter is the first, Saint Peter is the first pope in the church, and Paul was very instrumental in the gospel which we have today. Lastly, they said they'll visit important places like the four major basilicas which we have there in Rome. We have the very first one, Saint Peter, St. Peter's Basilica, St. Paul Basilica, St. John Lateran, as well as Mary Major. And these are key basilicas in Rome which they'll have the opportunity to visit and to pray therein. I would like to react regarding that of Mary Major. Why? Because it's someone linked to yesterday, the solemnity of the Immaculate Conception. Because on every 8th December, the Holy Father, because it's become tradition from of old, he creates time to go to this basilica to pray before the statue of the Blessed Virgin Mary, and he keeps a rose flower. Is it tautology? He keeps it there in honor of the Blessed Virgin Mary in our work of salvation in this basilica. So these are some of the various places that these pilgrims will visit. And so, you beloved Christians, I don't know what is stopping you to have this opportunity to go and witness these particular structures or these particular places, key moments in our Christian life where we have the cradle of our faith in Rome. That is our own, how will I put it? Will I say our own headquarters, where the faith indeed, from there it had to spread to the ends of the earth, as well as catacombs of martyrs. So I will just encourage people, if you can, don't say that the money is too much. Money has nothing to do when it comes to our spiritual lives to grow, because nobody, I dare reiterate, no pilgrim will undergo such a journey and come back the same. Never. Unless you go there and you don't give in to silence, you are just rowdy, and
even if you are rowdy, there's just no way you can be rowdy at that kind of in that kind of situation, and then you still come back. I doubt.
Yes, you come back different, but not as you will have benefited if you were there in silence, prayer, and you see how to be alone with the Lord, because it's pilgrimage too.
So that is coming up in about 6 months' time, which means there's enough time for people to really prepare. But for those who already contributed their monies for Israel, and you still feel that you can go to Rome, you can transfer the funds. But if you want to receive, I think the diocese made it possible that you can come back for. It's an open-minded issue. All right. So even before the one that comes up in Rome, we had our own diocesan pilgrimage today on the Holy Hills of Bojongo. This Saturday. In prelude to that, we did this report, but we cannot give you, the mass was on DMRTV earlier this morning. We cannot give you the images now. We hope that you have that in the course of next week broadcast. But anyway, let's leave that story so that we'll be able to come back to that in full gear next weekend, Reverend Father Alphonse. But I'd like our audience to now look at something else out of out of church or spirituality.
Yeah.
This one is connected to church, but it is education. Now, the Catholic University Institute of Boya, Douala campuses, Douala and Boya campuses actually had their 10th commencement ceremonies. That of Douala was on Wednesday, and the one of Boya, on Tuesday, and the one of Boya was on Thursday. And this ceremony saw more than 300 students graduating from the schools that are in CUIB, Douala and Boya. We had the Chancellor, Pro-Chancellor of the university, His Lordship Michael Bibi, who officiated those ceremonies. Equally, the guest speaker at that of the two ceremonies, that one of Boya and in Douala, was Dr. Daniel Ekongwe. Yeah, academic efforts with conferments.
By the authority conferred on me as the Chancellor, Pro-Chancellor, I and meet those of you present and those who are unavoidably absent, for whom the Dean stands proxy to the degree of Master of Business Administration in your various specialities.
The students have learned so hard over these years despite the rugged educational setup in Boya to achieve this milestone success. This prompted the head of the institution, Reverend Father Bartolomeo Anyao, to christen them the batch of resilience.
This batch has gone through some challenges, there's no doubt about it. Sometimes human conditions, academic challenges, and so on and so forth. But I think that the joy is that they have sailed through. And it's important that after whatever you do, there's no doubt there will be challenges. But the beauty is that you're able to sail through. So that's why they have been Christian. The batch has been Christian batch of resilience.
As these students wrap up with their academic work, they have hopes for the future with a design plan as inbuilt in them at CUIB.
Normally we've been trained to be servant leaders and we'll be trained to be entrepreneurs. Currently I'm working for a company, but hopefully in the year 2024, January to be precise, I'll be starting my own food brand with my custard formulation, which I presented during my senior year defense.
I'm planning to go abroad out of Africa to gather more experience in the field, more experience academically, and I'm trying to go after the master. If by God will, I will go for the PhD.
The best graduating student this year is Reverend Sister Gwendolyn Bijizang of the Department of Software Engineering with a grade point average of 3.97 on 4. While addressing her mates, she is confident of what the school has taught them and what the future also holds, calling on the younger badges to emulate her footsteps in excellence.
Study every day, and then since I didn't have the background, I had to watch YouTube videos for the preliminaries and also Google. I use a lot, and then also group teamwork too is important.
Those who studied exceptionally also received awards for their excellence.
We were very proud. We had several prizes that were given out to students for entrepreneurship and innovation, engagement, discipline, other attributes that we look for in our students beyond academics.
The Bishop of the Diocese, Chancellor and Pro-Chancellor of CUIB, His Lordship Michael Bibi, in his homily earlier, just like Dr. Daniel Ekongwe, the keynote speaker, during his academic discourse, insisted on the need for the outgone graduates to stay creative, flexible, and extremely prayerful as they look forward to the real life after school. The crowd that turned out for this celebration of the 10th commencement of CUIB was also thrilled through performances from renowned artist Magasco. Now the event also took place in Douala, CUIB Douala campus that is located in Bonaberry, and that was on Tuesday, the 5th of December. let's take you to have excerpts of some of the key speakers at that event in Douala.
Dear graduating students, you have all fulfilled the requirements of the faculty for the degrees for which you are recommended by your various deans. Hearty congratulations to you all. You are one of the batches who have seen numerous challenges and changes in CYB. The world awaits you to show her who you are, what you are made of, and where you come from. This is the 10th commencement of CYB, during which 300 students are graduating across our campuses, Douala and Boya. Today we are in Douala. On Thursday we shall be in Boya to carry out the same exercise.
You have achieved something valuable. You are young. I encourage you not to be afraid to fail. You hear that often. Today I tell you that whether you fear failure or not, disappointment sometimes will come. The beauty is that through disappointment, you can gain clarity. And with clarity come conviction.
Business world is quite vast. If you take only in Cameroon, how many different ministries are there? How many different departments are in those ministries that provide opportunities for you to link up with? You have to understand that the world is changing. Its opportunities are no longer coming only from the Western world, meaning Europe and America. East and West Asia is expanding, is exploding. Other African countries are exploding. The African diaspora is exploding with ideas.
Our junior ones who are still in CUBE, I urge you to seize every opportunity that comes your way. Embrace the spirit of entrepreneurship and let your ideas flourish. Take advantage of the invaluable Catholic Studies program as it equips you with the ethical framework necessary to make meaningful impact in the world.
Was his first speaker there was the Bishop of the Diocese, Chancellor, Pro-Chancellor of CUIB, His Lordship Michael Bibi. We had the President of CUIB who followed, Reverend Father Bartholomew Anyao. Then we equally had the third speaker was the guest speaker or keynote speaker, Dr. Daniel Ekongwe. He's an expert in peace, conflict, security, governance, and development issues. Then we ended with the best graduating student of CUIB for this year. She has a GPA of 3.97 on 4. That's quite huge. And that is a Reverend Sister. The Sisters of Saint Therese
of the Child Jesus.
Okay, Reverend Sister Gwendolyn Bijiza. Those excerpts they compiled for us. Now, on Tuesday was the Douala. Thursday we were in Boya. We were here in Boya, and generally it was a success. CUIB is picking steam. The population that came out, the graduating student, everything was charge free. Maybe you just have one or two things to add to those which others have been saying, especially to those who graduated from this institution.
Yes, I think the growth mindset entrepreneurial university CUIB, I call the names now so well because I'm calling students part of, yes, I think it is a wonderful institution that train young men and women, not just for the intellect but equally the spiritual dimension. It takes care of the whole of man, the intellect, yes, as well as that spiritual bent. That is why it is a Catholic institution. And it has its own unique nature in the sense that it trains people to be entrepreneurs, those who are capable of creating jobs and not just seeking jobs. And I think it is a plus to society that Catholic University Institute of Boya is giving and helping the government too. Not that every time we drop our certificates, yes, I have GPA this, and we'll send for government offices. But they come out with skills that they can be capable of using it to better society and to better themselves, to manage themselves without necessarily depending on being employed by A or by B, but rather being employers themselves of other people. And to the academic excellence of Sister Gwendolyn, I think I really appreciate it that is coming from a religious.
And her department is software engineering. It is rare to find, first of all, to find females in that department.
Yes.
And then to have her the best in that department, and not just the best, to have 3.97 on 4.
Yes, I think it's quite amazing. So we just congratulate her, and I think she makes the other sisters of the same congregation, Sister of St. Therese, proud. They say that is one of us that is making our name on our congregation to at least to the limelight. Yes. So I would just say kudos to her, congratulations.
So people think that going to sisterhood just means that maybe you could not be a doctor, you cannot
exactly. That is the mentality most people have, that you are running away from life's hurdles and struggles, and that is why you go there. But it's not the case. People go there because they are being called by God.
Right.
But God calls people and also endow them with his own gifts and talents that they can better society, not only from the point of view of a religious life, but also in various spheres of life. As she is doing software engineering, but now she will do it with a religious bent, which is different from a normal software engineer.
Which is going to serve the purpose of the church.
Right. Always the dignity of the human person and what have you. So I think CYB has always been known for academic excellence, and we invite you, beloved parents, viewers of DMRTV, those of you who don't yet know the worth of this university, come next academic year, since it's already running now. I don't think it was the admission perhaps has stopped. I'm not an administrator, I'm not in the administration there, but don't miss the opportunity whenever you have the chance or the opportunity to do so, to send your children there, so that they also should come out not just with certificates but with education
that is of the mind and
yes,
of the heart.
Being entrepreneurs to do something for society and for themselves.
All right.
So I love their efforts.
Great. Father, let's quickly just end, because we've talked so much around the church. Let's end with something out of the church. This evening, we have on the 25th of this December, no, it was on November 25th, that this campaign was launched. It is called 16 Days Campaign Against Gender-Based Violence, GBV. And for 16 days, which means that tomorrow, the 10th of December, the campaign is ending. Tomorrow is going to be the International Human Rights Day. So it ends on that Human Rights Day. So for these 16 days, people have been doing campaigns from different angles. And one of the areas that we've been keen on are female journalists in Cameroon. There's a group of female journalists that have been campaigning against gender-based violence on women and the girl child. So this campaign has been very vigorous online. Let us have this report. We'll be back.
Since November 25th, when the campaign against gender-based violence started, different organizations around the globe, especially rights groups, have been fervent in their actions. Another group which stands at the center for advocacy, providing a platform to engage and educate the masses, is the media. This has prompted online campaigns from some female journalists in Cameroon. Scholar Maloke and Promise Akante are female journalists based in Douala and Yaoundé, respectively.
We thought that putting our own hands into it and our voices is going to have an impact as female journalists. And you always know that in a situation there are people who must take the lead. So the female journalists decided to take the lead and expect that other women, other young girls should join.
We are engaging to let people feel free to open up, to want to speak out, to speak up, to seek help, to seek counseling, to seek, just engaging in a conversation, having a clear, honest dialogue with your entourage is going to help you in some way to overcome gender-based violence. So our choice of engaging as female journalists is to raise awareness, to help people come to the understanding that they can seek help, they should seek help, and they can always work things out.
To reach these masses, the journalists have chosen online platforms where the abuse on women keep increasing. They design customized flyers on every one of the 16 days and circulate on different social media platforms. The flyers carry varied inscriptions, one of which reads, "You can't love someone, yet find pleasure in hurting them. Love is kind." Another one says, "Staying in that abusive relationship is giving yourself for the violence. Stop being volunteers for your own victimization." To Boya-based journalist Iman Kong, these media tools are the best for them to target their audience.
We know we have the power, and we have a tool in our hands, being the media, that we can use to raise awareness and push for policy change, and that's exactly what we are doing. So we are using the media, being female journalists in Cameroon, to call on the powers that be to begin to take action to punish domestic gender-based violence in Cameroon.
Talking about penalizing gender-based violence perpetrators, CRTV's Eleanor Ayoketa thinks that it must begin with these women reporting cases of abuse.
Enlightening women and also telling women that they should report all such cases, because you can never tell when it will lead to death. It will be forewarned, it's to be forearmed. So we're encouraging other women, journalists and women alike, and even the general population, men inclusively, that they should join in this campaign to fight against domestic gender-based violence.
As the female journalists in Cameroon fight on to restore the dignity of everyone under the gender-based violence scare, the international community continues its call for global action by states to increase awareness and galvanize efforts in ending GBV. This year's theme for the 16 days campaign against GBV is "Invest to Prevent Violence Against Women and Girls."
So, Father, just before we go, maybe you have one word for perpetrators of gender-based violence. We are still talking about people who beat other people, beat other humans, degrade other humans, both male and female, because it's not a one-way thing. Gender-based violence is just bad.
Yes, gender-based violence it goes contrary to the dignity of the human person, which must be respected at all times and at all circumstances, because it is one of the 6 fundamental principles of the social teachings of the church. Man being created imago Dei, that is in the image and likeness of God, has an intrinsic worth, an inherent human dignity which must never be tampered upon. And so we should treat each other, male and female alike, not as objects, but rather as subjects. That's why I talk about intersubjectivity. As subjects, we are all subjects, not objects. When we begin treating people as objects, that is when gender-based violence comes in. And it's just a clarion call to us all. We are human beings with rationality and not plants or animals who simply have vegetative souls or sentient souls. And because of our rationality and we image God, it should help us to also behave accordingly, which means we don't behave with instincts. And so raising hand and laying on another person in the case of married people, I think for me is menial, in the sense that you are going in contrary to the dignity of the other person. But rather, dialogue and communication is always one of the ingredients. When I teach marriage doctrine, to say one of the ingredients of marriage, dialogue. Because if dialogue is not there, then our marriage, which perhaps can be a timbanamusa, or which any traditional dish, will be too salty to swallow or tasteless to swallow. But when dialogue is there, then it will not give room. It will be a remedy to this gender-based violence. So in moments when there is misunderstanding, moments of difficulties, we should simply apologize to each other and see how to make way to move ahead and not give in to this. Also to exhort the women. Normally they say the power of a woman is in the mouth. Men sometimes say it's because of the way they talk to them that they do react that way. No matter what a woman do, never should one raise a hand on the other, because it goes against the dignity of the human person. We are no longer human when we behave that way. We are rather perhaps animals in quotes, because only animals do fight. Why should human beings fight?
Right.
We should dialogue and see how
Solve
to
the
cooperate.
situations.
Thank you.
So let's struggle, all of us, to end gender-based violence. The 16-day activism, we are on day 15. Tomorrow is day 16 that will end. But the campaign, the days end, but the campaign does not end. All of us have to be engaged. Well, thank you to the female journalists who are doing well on this. Now, Father, we've come to the end of the program. Thank you too for your time tonight as we quit the studio to make way for other programs.
Yes, thank you so much, Bako. I'm very, very happy to be here after a long break.
After a long while.
Yes, so say thank you to viewers for watching. DMRTV, stay tuned. And